Cool. Yep, we're live. What's going on, everyone? So, welcome to my latest live stream. I know it's been several weeks. I am happily joined today with my good friend Anthony A. Perez. Anthony, how you doing today? Of
I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
course, man. I know we've been wanting to do this for a while, but I know you especially because I know you get a lot of screenings and everything. I know you especially have like a very busy movie schedule. So glad that we're finally able to do this because it's been. I think the last time we did this was almost a year ago at this point.
Man, has it been that long?
Yeah,
Yikes. All right, yeah.
wild to think.
Yeah, I know it's been a minute. It's been a minute for sure. I watched your last live stream, or at least I was watching it while I was playing Xbox with my friends. That's why I tuned in to ask about the deli meat on the sandwich. But anyway, thanks for having me on, man.
That was great.
I'm still having that debate with my friends, by the way.
Yeah, I was the wrong person to ask, but thankfully Marv was there because he loves deli meat. But for me, I haven't had deli meat in a long time.
It's probably for the best, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like if I go to Wawa, because I'll usually go down North Wildwood. I'll usually go to Wawa and I'll get like ground beef, on like a sandwich. But I don't really
Right,
mess
right.
with deli meat. But I definitely see the appeal because
Yeah,
it is tasty.
it is indeed. It is indeed.
Anthony, I can't believe we're almost halfway through the year. I mean, it's been flying by. How do you feel so far about this year in terms of films?
I feel like it's been solid. I don't think it's been exceptional. But I do think that there's been some films like when I've had people say like, "Oh, there's no good movies this year." I'm like, I mean, like
Yeah.
there's been plenty, like you just gotta like look for them. And of course, everything's subjective, right? But I do think that there's definitely been some good movies. There's been some stinkers, but
Always is.
right, but I think I would say that while there have been some movies I've really enjoyed this year, like really enjoyed, there's also been a lot of movies that I would just say I enjoyed, like
Mhm.
enjoyed enough. Like I actually just got home from the movies like 30 minutes ago, which is why I asked you to push this back.
Ah, what,
Um,
what what did you end up seeing?
I went to go see Final Destination Bloodlines. I was a few
I thought
weeks
you already
behind
saw
on that.
that.
No, the only reason I hadn't was because I'm usually on point with the big releases, but it came out the same weekend that I went to a music festival here in Florida called Welcome to Rockville.
That's
And
why.
so that was a 4-day festival. So that whole weekend from Thursday to Sunday, I was rocking out. But unfortunately, because of that, I missed out on the releases of that week, which like that I didn't get to see early. I got to see something early that week, so it wasn't a big deal. But so I was still able to get out an early review, but I wasn't able to see Final Destination. So yeah, I was weeks behind, and I didn't want to like see it after it left theaters. Like I wanted to try to get like a review out for it. I actually filmed a review like just before we hopped on here, but I'll
Oh
edit
wow.
that. I'll edit that later and stuff like that, just to even though I'm late to the party. But yeah, I want to check that out, and that's a perfect example, right? Like now, mind you, I'm an enjoyer of those movies. I don't think they're exceptional or anything, but like like this new one was just it was just entertaining enough. I went in for the schlocky kills and the like convoluted like storyline,
Storytelling.
and it serviced exactly what I was expecting it to be, but by no means was it like exceptional, right? Like it's not going to make my top 10 of the year list. It won't even it's not going to be anywhere in my top 40 or 50 by the time we get to the end of the year. But it wasn't a bad movie. Like I thought it was just perfectly fine for the sixth
For what it
sequel.
was, for what it was
Yeah,
going for, it was okay.
right. For the sixth film in the franchise, it was exactly what I expected it to be.
I finally saw the first one in October, and I was like, eh. So when I saw that there was another one coming out, I'm like, I'm probably not going to watch it. So
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Yeah, I think for me, the first one was like at the time, it was kind of iconic at the time because I saw it as a kid too. So I think I saw it at like the perfect time to be kind of freaked out because I wasn't like super well versed in horror yet. I was still young and I'm watching this movie where like death is looming around every corner, and like these people are dying in crazy ways. I hadn't really seen anything like that yet. I hadn't even gotten into slashers and stuff like we were talking right before the stream. Like I'm really into that stuff now, but uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't really like have any sort of knowledge of that. So I was really into it. And then the second one came out. I remember just like it being a cool thing, like as a kid to be like, oh, did you see the new Final Destination to like the kids from school, you know? Even though I wasn't allowed to watch it from like with my dad and stuff like that, but I still kind of sneak away to watch these films with like my cousins or something. Um, so yeah, I enjoy like the first three, but after that, I think it just becomes like a lot more of the same. And this movie does enough to differentiate itself. But if you think about it too hard, you're like, it doesn't it doesn't make
It doesn't make any sense.
right. Yeah, like it's this time, it's like a bloodline of somebody saved a bunch of people from dying, like they do at the beginning of all of them, where they have a premonition, and then they save the people from that premonition, and then they all die in that order. Except this time around, for some reason, death waited a long time, and people were able to have kids, like and they have like kids, and then their kids were able to have kids, and so now death is coming for the whole bloodline in
Uh,
order. It's like I don't know that that makes sense based on all the other movies where death usually came for these
right
people
away.
super quick. But if you thought about it too long, you're like, all right, this movie's ass. But otherwise, it was cool.
It's doing well at this point. I've come to terms with the fact that the movies that I love, in order for them to get made and be seen in theaters, those type of movies, they have to do well.
Right.
It's just like I haven't seen the new Karate Kid. I haven't seen Lilo and Stitch. I haven't seen the Minecraft movie. But I know that I'm happy that all those movies did well, because at the end of the day, that's what's keeping theaters afloat. So I look at it as
Yeah,
that as
you
trade
gotta
off.
take it where you can, right? Because it's a double-edged sword, like something like Minecraft, right? It's like turned into this debacle with the whole like chicken jockey thing,
My goodness, I
uh,
I dude, I was so glad I didn't go to the theater when I saw some of those reactions of people just throwing popcorn everywhere. I'm like, what is happening?
like it's on one hand, it's like I'm glad that everybody's like paid the theater all that money for the popcorn and stuff. But as somebody who worked in a theater for many years, like God, that would have been my nightmare. But thankfully, I got to see Minecraft like the
Early.
yeah, I got to see it like the Sunday before it came out. So there was no meme of it yet, like that memification of that chicken jockey sequence hadn't happened. And yeah, and honestly, the movie's just not that great either. But it's
I'm
I
planning to at the when it comes in at the library, I'll watch it. But I just felt conflicted because I'm like, it showcases how a lot of people just don't seem to know how to react in a theater. It's cool to have reactions. Like, remember Avengers Endgame when that came out? People were reacting, but they weren't throwing
right.
popcorn. They were just reacting in an exciting fashion, but not in a destructive fashion, or
I think
bad
it's just
fashion.
this new generation, man. Like this new generation of kids, it's rough. Like I feel like their parents aren't raising them to understand like theater etiquette, And it's not all kids like that. Like there's plenty of kids I see in the theaters that completely are well behaved, right? But like more often than
Yeah,
not, when you see these like outbursts, it's just like these punk ass teens that just like don't have any sort of like respect for anything. Even today, when I went to go see Final Destination Bloodlines, there was a group of teens that was sitting like maybe 5 or 6 rows ahead. That like during the trailers were just being so loud, and like every time there was a moment of silence, like they'd let out like a gnarly burp or something, or like they were doing everything they could to be obnoxious. Thankfully, once the movie started, I only heard them say something here and there,
yeah.
and it was like pretty quiet, and the movie was loud enough to drown them out. But it's like it's just it was insane. And there was like this kid that like sat separately because him and his friend came to see the movie too. So his mom let him and his friend sit separately from her, but he kept getting up to go talk to his mom. And then at one point, his mom like dropped something under the chairs. So then they're both of them are off to the left of me with their flashlights under the seat trying to find something. And I'm just like, dude, like this is the unfortunate side of why a lot of people don't want to go to the theaters anymore, right? Like
Yeah,
I feel very blessed, to be in a critics association where I get to see movies early, because a lot of times it's just me and the critics, or it's like a situation where they have like a press row or two for like just the critics, but then like the rest of the theater is like people who like won free tickets online or something. But they
hmm
usually still have like, because we're seeing the movie early, they usually have security to make sure nobody has their phones out. So
that they
security is
have to
usually
have
kind of keeping
theoretica.
things, Yeah, they're usually keeping things in order, you know. So the most I'll have is like when I saw Snow White earlier this year, I had to turn around to this lady and her friend, and I just had to go, I need you guys to stop talking. I don't ever like to do that. I don't like to be rude to people or like kill their buzz if they're excited by a movie. But they just kept like every time something like a little cute squirrel was on screen, I'm like, oh my god, it was just a squirrel. And then another thing, oh my god, what? I looked at, it, I was like, I turned around so fast, I was like, guys, it was like after 10 or 15 minutes, I go, you gotta stop. We have
See,
we gotta bring it to an end right now.
you were nicer. I'll never forget early 2017, the movie Lion, starring Dev Patel. I was at the theater with my mom, and it was just us two and like three older ladies off to the left of us. And they were constantly talking. Now, this is like a quiet film. They just were constantly talking. Oh, Dev Patel, he's so cute. Oh, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? I finally just yelled out loud. I'm like, ladies, if I wanted commentary, I would wait for the Blu-ray. Just please shut up. And they immediately stopped talking. I was like, thank God. I'm like, what is this? And these are adults. Like, they're not even teenagers. They're adults. I'm
Well,
like,
yeah, that same deal with Snow White. It was adults. I'm just like, I just think that there's like a lot of people who have just like, I don't mind. I don't mind it if it's tasteful, right? Like if there's a moment that calls for it. One of my favorite moments, I think, when I think about a moment like that, is when I went to see. This was years ago. I don't know why this one always sticks up in my mind. But I went to go see the remake of When a Stranger Calls that came out in the 2000s. I don't know if you've ever seen that
oh, I
movie.
didn't see it, but I'm aware of it.
Yeah, so I actually really enjoy that movie, but I saw that movie with my mom and my sister on the opening weekend, and there was this like just the classic big black lady sitting right behind me, and at the right moments, every time, she would say something like, "Ooh, child, don't go in there." Like, and she would always say the perfect thing at the right time. And it always cut the tension in the right way and got the audience to laugh alongside her. Right. Like, she never was like over the top with her commentary, but she would
Right.
say it in these moments that like always made us like everybody was like really in on the joke, you know? And so I think that there can be tasteful commentary in a movie that the audience sometimes may add to the experience. Another one that always comes to mind is back when I don't know what year this movie came out, but there was this big party movie that came out right after I
Project X.
graduated high school. Project X, right? I want to say
Yeah.
2012 or 2013 or something.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it was 2012. Yeah.
I had just graduated high school, and so it was like in the early years of going to the theaters with my friends on our own, and so we all went to go see that movie. Now, mind you, I think you and I both talked about it, but we were raised, you know, we obviously were raised in the church.
Hmm.
So I went to go see that movie with like all my church friends on a Saturday night before like, and so we all went to go see the movie, and there's the scene where the main character's like got the girl that he wants to like hook up with the whole movie. Like he has her like in the room, and she's like they're getting it on, you know, they're starting to make out, and it's like really quiet except for the breathing noises and all that stuff. And amidst that silence, in a packed theater, my friend Chris just goes out loud and just goes, "So who's going to church in the morning?" And the whole theater just erupted like in laughter. It was like the perfect tasteful moment. And so I do think that there can be commentary sometimes in a theater that like, you know, or that, you know, that feeling of like going to see something like Spider-Man No Way Home or like Avengers Endgame, as you mentioned, where like you have this uproar of excitement from the audience. But yeah, at a certain
the
point,
thing
there's a
that
fine line.
the scene that always sticks out for me is the scene where Captain America says Avengers, and then, dude, you couldn't hear a pin drop. Everyone was on their feet, and then when he said assemble, everybody got up from their seat and they were just roaring. And I was like, that combined with Alan Silvestri's score, I'm like, this is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then
I don't
COVID happened.
I don't think we'll ever get a moment like that ever again. You know, like
No, probably not.
that was a moment, man. That was a moment. I think everybody's theater on opening weekend experienced a similar kind of situation. I think that's why there's so much love for that film
Yeah.
and why people have been chasing that feeling in every MCU film since. Because it was something magical, man. I'll never forget that moment. But yeah, that's a great
It
one.
was a moment that definitely, in terms of pop culture, especially cinema, it's ingrained there. Like, people always say, "Oh, I remember when I saw Avengers Endgame the first time."
Right.
Oh, by the way, we have several comments real quick we'll get
Yeah.
to.
Go for it.
Connor Holt says, "Big Bad Chat." Connor, good to hear from you. I hope you're doing well. Film Kid says, "Hey, Film Kid, always good to hear from you." And Joe is in the chat. He says, "Hola." Joe, good to hear from you, man. Film Kid says, "I might be gone for a little because I'm watching Old Boy and I have 15 minutes left. please tell me you're watching the original and not the Spike Lee remake. Anthony, have you seen Old Boy?
I have, yeah. I've only ever seen the original.
Oh, good. Do you like it?
Yeah, it's a great movie for sure.
One of my favorites too.
I also want to just throw in here real quick. I
Mm.
like what Connor called you. I think you should change your YouTube channel name to Big Bad Chad.
So I am pretty. If I had to bet, I'm pretty sure that Connor Holt is one of my ex coworkers. Nicknamed me Big Bad Chat, and I'm pretty sure Connor is like the son of one of my coworkers. I'm ex coworkers. I'm pretty sure they used to always call me that. I'm just, I was just always quiet, like to myself, and I'm like, what? I'm not doing anything.
Big Bad Chad. I think, yeah, I think that should be your YouTube name now.
I gotta change it now. I gotta get Big Bad Chat merchandise now.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude.
Bootzilla says hello, Chad and Anthony. Bootzilla, good to hear from you. I'm glad you're in the chat. Hopefully you're doing okay. I've been following along the Letterboxd. Been watching a lot of good stuff, man. Joe says two things. One, he says Final Destination Bloodlines was okay, so it looks like he's in agreement with you, Anthony. And then I don't think we talked about this, Anthony, but Joe says the movie Bring Her Back looks solid coming out. I got to see that early. I think you did too, right?
Yeah.
Dude, wasn't that so good?
I really enjoyed it, man. I liked it more than Talk to Me, which I enjoyed in and of itself. But I thought Talk to Me, like, it's tough because Talk to Me was so like about like the underlying like messaging of that film is about like addiction, right? Like, so like
trauma, yeah.
And like the main character is so unlikable in that film, but it's like purposeful, right? Because she's addicted to this thing that obviously it's portrayed as this demon ghost thing, but like she's addicted to that feeling she gets from it, so she's making all the worst choices of all time the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that this movie was just like had more likable characters, but just had like a really really like good gross out factor to it. I really enjoyed
there were
the
some gnarly
cinematography.
practical effects,
dude. The stuff with that
jeez.
that's all the stuff in the kitchen, dude. Like just it was something, man. Like, and I was like, there's something, and it was practical, and I think that that's where like it's funny. I was mentioning to you earlier that I filmed my review for Final Destination, and one of the big negatives I gave that movie was the fact that like it leans so heavily into digital, and I don't yeah, and I think that when I think about some of the best deaths in the Final Destination franchise, it's all the practical stuff that they did in the first 3 movies in particular. And that's why I think, bring those moments here and Bring Her Back really works, because like like practical gore that's like uncomfortable to look at. Like you're not just staring at the screen chewing on your popcorn. Like, fine, it's especially since some of it has to do with the mouth. So it's like it's rather uncomfortable. But yeah, I thought it was very well acted too. I will say this though, if this is the movie, even though she was phenomenal, because I love her, but if this is the movie that caused us to not have Sally Hawkins in Paddington 3, I will riot, because like while she was great in this movie, man, Sally Hawkins should have been in Paddington 3. That was the biggest letdown of that movie.
The whole movie, I love Paddington. Like, I grew up watching the TV show, and I adore the first 2, but the third one, Paul King definitely was missed. Sally Hawkins too, but I don't know. That second half, I think that was when it was just hitting me, where I'm like, man, I'm not enjoying this as much as the other ones. Like, usually there's an increase in quality with each act in the Paddington films, but this one I felt as if it kind of hit a wall and then it just kind of went down and down and down, especially with, I'll call it Bearland, just so there's no spoilers, but I was just like, I don't know.
And
I feel
funny enough, I think that was the best part of the movie, only because it was the main part of, and I like that movie. I'm probably more positive on it than you are, but I do think the first 2 Paddington movies are like damn near perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that they're like some of the best family movies ever made. So for me, Paddington 3 obviously doesn't hit that mark, but I still liked it because I love Paddington. The character is so charming and the story is so charming. But
and he's what we need. I feel like he's so positive. Which
that last bit there with Bearland had me like so emotional walking out of the theater. So like, if anything, I think that's what I was like really wanting out of the movie. And some of the most charming moments in the first 2 movies was with Sally Hawkins. And I'm honestly so fed up with like scheduling conflicts being a thing. I feel like with
Yeah.
some of these studios, work around it, bud. Figure it out. Pay a little extra money and fly them out on a day off or something. I can't imagine Sally Hawkins was like, yeah, I don't want to do Paddington at all. Like I saw a thing where she said she loved Paddington, and unfortunately she wasn't able to make it. But it's not in her hands. I'm sure she would have loved for them to have waited for her or figured something out, but they built a schedule and they go without her.
I'm pretty sure it's just like with Paul King. I think they wanted to really push for the sequel to come out, and he helped with some of the writing, but he was working on Wonka. So,
Right.
and I have to say, Wonka versus Paddington 3, I do like Wonka more, which is probably a hot take, but I do enjoy
I
Wonka.
mean, no, yeah, overall, I would agree, but I think that's the thing is like, had they just waited and just like been like, hey, can you do Paddington 3 right after Wonka? I mean, we would have just had a substantially better film. You would have had the cast back. Like, I don't understand. Like, if I was greenlighting stuff at a production studio, I would be like, all right, we have all the pieces, and if somebody told me, hey, this actor can't return, I'd be like, okay, we're back to drawing board. Like, let's reach out and find out when everybody who we were going to do this with is available again. Like, we're okay, it's a year, all right, that's fine, because we're gonna make the audience wait another year. That's how I would operate it, because I'm a continuity nut.
Like
Um,
with Batman Begins to The Dark Knight, how that was also scheduling conflict where what was it? Katie Holmes, she couldn't make it because I
right,
think she was working on something else. So they were like,
right.
all right, we'll just recast Maggie Gyllenhaal.
It's just not. It just doesn't make sense to me for like these. Like, it makes sense if it's a smaller production, right? But if it's like a big studio, it's like, dude, find the money, pull it out of your ass, because ultimately you're gonna like make a better movie for your fans, like something that people are gonna watch, and you don't want to have that element of like audience members like years later like just being like, this movie just like there's this thing about it that always takes it down a peg for me. Like I don't know, like that's how I think about it, because I think about my favorite franchises and my favorite sequels and like what they meant to me years down the line. And I'm not saying that like Paddington 3 can't still be magical for somebody growing up. But
Yeah.
like it's just I don't know, it pisses me off. Recently Star Wars had a similar situation. I got to see season 2 of Andor early. So I was sitting on this for weeks because they sent it to me months before, like, or maybe like a month and a half before the season actually aired, which I was very grateful for.
Wow.
They sent me the full season, but I watched the whole season, and when I got to where Bail Organa, who's played by Jimmy Smits in the prequels and showed up in Obi-Wan Kenobi, he showed up in Rogue One and all the animated stuff like the Clone Wars and Rebels has always like made the character look like Jimmy Smits. When I get to Andor, which Andor season 2, I think is some of the best Star Wars on screen ever of all time. But then the one thing that just distracted me the whole time was they recast Bail Organa, and this time he was played by Benjamin Bratt, who I do think did a good job. He captured the mannerisms. He did the best possible job. But I do think it creates a distracting thing. And I read, apparently it was a scheduling conflict. I would have rather they sent out a team with a costume to wherever Jimmy Smits was and had him on green screen alongside the other actors. I would rather be complaining that it looked like he didn't have film alongside the other actors than have a recast. Personally, for me, especially of a character who's been in the franchise for so long, and this might be the last time chronologically that we see him. What else are you gonna do with him? Show him explode on Alderaan? You can't do that. Like, it's just not. It doesn't make any sense. So
I didn't, to be honest with you, now I'll be on the lookout for it, but I only saw the first 3 episodes of season 2 because ironically, I was telling Joe this, I think a week or so ago. I'm using someone else's Disney Plus, and they implemented that whole can't share with other homes. So
right,
of
yeah.
course, the second week when they were throwing out the 3 episodes, that's when I got the notification. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, because I saw the first 3 episodes and I liked them enough, but I've heard that each episode gets better and better. So I'm like,
Dude, the latter part of the season, and here's what I'll also say: the episodes with Bail Organa in it are some of the best of the season. So it's undeniably good, and Benjamin Bratt is doing a good job. Like he's capturing the mannerisms, the cadence of the voice of everything that Jimmy Smits did. So he's doing his job, like as an actor to like allow you as an audience member to still see the character. but it just fucking, it just, it just pisses me off, bro. It just really chaps my ass because it's just like, really, bro? Like
You know what?
Disney
You know what
scheduling conflicts? Come on.
the worst part would be is someone like myself. They don't mention the character's name. I'd probably just be like drawing a blank. Like I think I should know who this person is, but I
Dude,
don't really recognize them.
I said that in my review that again, I filmed before because I got to drop my review the day before because the embargo lifted the day before the first 3 episodes aired.
Yeah, and
And
I know Disney's strict with their embargoes.
right. And so I saw it weeks before and I sat on it. I sat on it and I was just like, oh my God. Like I knew it was gonna like disrupt certain fans the way it was disrupting me. I knew some people were gonna be like, oh, it's okay. Um, but I knew some people were gonna and what I really was heartbroken about is that for the people, because Bail Organa is not like a Luke Skywalker or Anakin Skywalker or like a Obi-Wan Kenobi or C3PO, where like those names are just iconic. Everybody knows
Yeah,
who they
everyone
are.
knows them.
Bail Organa is the kind of character who's been in Star Wars so ingrained. Like, I mean, he's Leia's adoptive father. Like, he's a huge part of Star Wars, but he's also got one of those names that I just don't think people immediately know. Like, if I showed you a picture to like even somebody who's seen all Star Wars, I go, "Who is this guy?" I don't think everybody might say that is Senator Bail Organa. They just like
I'll be honest. I wouldn't have known until you said Jimmy Smith. I'm like, oh, I know Jimmy Smith. I know who he plays.
right. And so when you see Jimmy Smith, you go, "I know his role in this story.
Yes.
I'm back in." But I think because when they first show him, they just call him Senator Organa, and I remember I perked up and I looked at my wife and I was like, is this Bale?" And then they moved on from the scene, and then the next time he's on screen, they called him Bale, and I looked at my wife. I go, and I hate to put it this way, I had to get up and I had to pause the episode, and I had to like start looking online to find if there was any announcement of it or something, and there was nothing. There was
Nothing at
nothing
all.
online about Jimmy Smith's not playing the role. There was even rumors online that Bail Organa was going to be in the show, and people were speculating that Jimmy Smith was returning. Meanwhile, I've now seen that that's not the case, and it was eating at me, bro. And some people might think that's a bit dramatic, and I can understand to a degree, but like, I really care about continuity, man. Especially that long. It's one thing
Mhm.
for like a
How did you feel? Because I think I briefly mentioned it. I I got done watching several hours ago Captain America: Brave New World.
right.
How do you feel about that? Because
So
William Hurt,
that's a good example because the person's dead, right?
yeah,
And so Star Wars has another one of those coming up right now because unfortunately Ray Stevenson,
passed away.
fantastic Ray Stevenson, did pass away, and he played a really really cool character called Balin Skull in the Ahsoka TV show. Um, and so now they've already shown images of the new guy. I can't remember his name. He's from Game of Thrones, but he's going to be playing that role, and he looks the part. And that's one where I just have to, my heart and my mind comes to peace with it because the actor's dead. What are we going to do? Now, mind you, I might be in the unpopular opinion that I didn't mind them, you know, doing a little deep fake action with some of these actors to like keep it consistent. I know some people don't agree with that, with like the deep fake and the AI.
Oh yeah, with Luke Skywalker and Mandalorian.
Yeah, or with Tarkin in Rogue One.
Oh
Like,
yeah, oh yeah.
was like people really hate that. I really don't mind. Like, I really don't mind because, and I love that James Earl Jones. I love that James Earl Jones gave Lucasfilm the right to use AI to do Vader dialogue moving forward. I love it
Oh,
because
I didn't know that.
yeah, and I think they used some of it for Obi-Wan Kenobi. But he before he passed away, he mentioned that like he felt Vader's a huge part of Star Wars, so he was like, I don't want them to have to like struggle with that. And so I'm glad that he gave them that okay because I'm okay with that for these running franchises. Now, if somebody's dead and like you got to recast, it is what it is, right? Like it's one of those unfortunate parts of show business that you kind of have to just like you just kind of have to roll with the punches.
And I mean, it's something that goes back. If you go back far enough, I mean, I'm ironically showing my friend Marv Back to the Future Part Two tomorrow because he's never seen it, and that movie's wild because Crispin Glover,
Right,
who plays Martin McFly's dad, he didn't want to be in the sequel. Like
right.
he was like, no, I'm not getting paid enough. Like you're actually lowballing me, paying me less than what I did in the first one. So what did they do? They pretty much cut out most of his part. And what they did have, they actually used a
Yeah.
lookalike. They used a
Yeah.
mold from him in the first one.
Right.
So it was like, I'll be honest, like when I watch it, it doesn't really distract me because I felt like because Robert Zemeckis is a pretty decent director that I get tricked into thinking it is Crispin Glover, but because I know the behind the scenes, I'm like, oh, it's not him. But they do a pretty good
Especially if
job
you
with
see any still images of like that mask he was wearing, it's so not
it.
good,
Yeah, that's when you start to notice it,
Right.
especially on. I would say on 4K. Um, some of it ages just a little bit, but I still love that film. I can't wait to show Marv because he loved the first one, which I of course do as well. But
Right.
just that sequel, man, it's so good. By the way, we have some comments, and then I figured we'd start
Yeah,
diving
yeah. Go
into
for it, dude. Go for it.
yeah. Joe says, coming from the substance lovers, we love gross effects. That is very true. I'm so glad that the substance won best makeup. Andor is so good. Best Star Andor, yeah, best Star Wars. I know. I'm so frustrated because I was hoping that maybe Hulu would have it, but they don't have the second season yet. So I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. But I'm definitely gonna watch it. I'm pretty sure it's probably gonna get a physical media release. So
Or you could
hopefully I
probably
don't
get
have to
like a
wait.
free trial or something if you were using somebody else's.
That's a good point too, because I've never had Disney Plus because
There you go. Just
I'm
make a
like,
free
why would I
trial
do that
account.
when I could just get the Blu-ray from the library? Because they have my local library has pretty much every Disney movie on Blu-ray. So I'm like, why not just get it out?
I
Better
honestly
quality.
commend your love and consistency with the library. I have not been in a library in whoo
Long
eons,
time.
dude. Eons. Like I haven't been to a library in a bajillion years.
Well, and I love logging on Letterboxd that I see them because I'm able to see like the hundreds, almost thousands of films that I've seen on the library, and then I'm like, multiply that by at least four, and you have thousands of dollars that you're saving instead of renting it out or having to spend money on a streaming service. You're literally just getting it out. So I'm really really glad that I have a library like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice. The way the system works is that you can put a hold on a movie, and if that library doesn't have it, they'll get it from another library and bring it to your library. So it's
That's kind of
nice.
cool. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Joe says, I'm just happy Chad started Severance. Yeah, I watched the first season. I loved it. Giving some time, some breathing room before starting season two, because I have a bunch of movies that I'm watching and getting ready for Pride Month. I have a lot of movies, like first time watch that I'm planning to watch. So this month has been pretty much catching up on all these different TV shows, and the next month is probably going to be mostly films. So if you're following me on Letterboxd, you're probably going to see even more logs somehow, some way.
I was gonna say how. I feel like I can always promise or always know that when I open Letterbox and like it refreshes, and if I scroll to the end, because I always like to go to where I last liked somebody's comment or like liked
Huh.
somebody's post, and I'll scroll from there just to see what everybody's watching. You're always in there every time. Every time in that like set of like new ones, you are almost always in there. I'm usually surprised if you're not. And there's been times that you're not, and I'll go through and I'll like maybe like people's like reviews or whatever, and then I'll do a quick refresh, and then you're the next one that pops up.
It's because I wake up really early and I usually do like 3 miles on the treadmill. So I'm usually watching something while doing that. So thankfully, thankfully the way I have it set up, it won't wake anybody up. But that would be bad. Like 5:30 a.m. waking someone up.
Hey man, I guess with the movie is not
You
too
got to
bad.
do what you got to do, though. But yeah, I will be watching season two pretty soon, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. Last comment, and then we'll go. We'll talk. I will go with you first, talking about. I figure 5 movies, like the bottom 5, and then top 5.
All right.
123 Rock fan says, so far, Friendship has been my favorite theater experience this year. Saw it at my local art house theater, and everyone was on its weird wavelength. LOL. I love hearing that because that was a similar thing for me. I was so worried that I was seeing it on a Friday night because I normally try to avoid that crowd, but some of my friends wanted to see it, and they're friends that usually don't go to the movies. So I'm like, okay, I will accommodate you guys. We'll go based on your schedule. We went on a Friday night, packed showing. I was very surprised for a Tim Robinson based A24 film, but everyone was vibing with it. It was a great time. So I'm
Yeah,
glad
I got
that
I got
you
to see
did
it in a
too.
packed theater too, and
Yeah,
It's
you liked it too, right?
I loved it. It's actually, we're gonna get into it, but it's currently my number 3 movie of the year. I thought it was great. I thought it had something interesting to say while also being hilarious. I'm also a sucker for cringe comedy.
Yeah,
Um,
me
and I
too.
just I love that the movie is just like a dude crashing out for 2 hours, Like it's just not like anything else I've seen this year. The characters are unique to it. The tone is unique to it, and it's one of those movies like I want to like my brain says watch again, and like sometimes you
Yeah,
see a
me too.
movie, sometimes you see a movie and it can be good, but your brain isn't like I want to see this immediately again. Whereas Friendship is one of those that I'm like, oh yeah, I want to watch this again.
I agree. Speaking of which, we'll go into some of the movies that
So how do you
I
want
guess
to
we
tackle
go
this? You
from
want me to just like list off my 5 favorite
yeah.
movies of the year so far, or like one good, one bad?
You could. I'll tell you what, because just to for both our channels to give some ambiguity. We could always have it where you're 6 to 10. You could always mix it up, so that way there's not like a definitive one. So like if you want, you can just say, "Oh, this one," and it's like it's actually your number 7. But or you
Yeah,
could
yeah.
go in
I mean,
order.
I have a list. I'll go for it if you want. Like, so what do you want me to list from 5 to 1 or 1 to 5?
I was gonna say start with because I figured we could do 1 to 10, honestly. So I
Yeah,
figured
no,
you
I'm
could
cool.
go at the bottom.
All right, you want to start from the worst, but this is of the best, right? Because I have a
Yeah,
worst
of the
list.
best. Yeah, no. We won't
Okay.
talk worse. We'll be positive.
All right. Okay. So no worst movie. So my number 10 right now, because I have my top 20 already, but my number 10 at the moment, is actually The Legend of Ochi, which is
Still
an
need to watch.
A24 film, very reminiscent of E.T. Um,
Hmm.
and I just really enjoyed it. It was weird. And it's weird because it's not even one that I would say narratively is like super groundbreaking, but I'm a sucker for animatronics and puppeteer work. You know
Me too.
this about me, but my favorite franchise of all time is Star Wars. And what got me into Star Wars as a kid was the the so much of the practical effects. Like I think like a lot of people, that cantina scene of just like all these people in costumes and like this otherworldly location and so much going on in the background. And oh my god, I'm a sucker for creature effects. So when I see a movie that like really utilizes them well, I love it. And so yeah, Legend of Ochi I got to see at a theater here. Yeah, if you ever come to Florida, I would love to take you to this theater. It's called the Enzian
I'm down.
Theater, and I got to go there. I got invited out to check it out at the Florida Film Festival, and immediately when they sent me the screening invite, they also sent like press images, like or just like images that I can use for my review. And amidst that, where they had some behind the scenes photos where it was like the director like sitting there with the camera and like the whole rig talking to the actors in the Ochi suit. So for anybody who's not familiar, it's about it's about an island where there are these primates called Ochi that are like orange furred, blue faced, like monkeys of sorts, and um, everybody views them as like dangerous and like scary, and like you can't go for them, and so then or you can't go out into the woods or the forest because it's dangerous. And then Willem Dafoe's character blames them for like his wife running away at a certain point or like her disappearance. So he leads like a group of people that go out into the woods trying to like chase all these like mainly kids, like young boys. It's like Willem Dafoe giving a very A24 Willem Dafoe performance. Um, and he's going out like leading these kids into the woods trying to like chase down these Ochi. And then there's like one baby one that gets separated from its mom that ends up meeting the young girl in the movie who's the only one who doesn't see them as dangerous, and she takes it upon herself to get this young Ochi back um to its family. It's very much like an ET kind of thing, like little kid
And How
has
to
this.
Train Your Dragon too. It also sounds like.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. I think it definitely as a lot of movies in that wheelhouse, right? um but yeah, so I thought it was just so charming, so cute. There was kind of like a very whimsical 80s style musical score to it. Everything about the way the film looked was so interesting, but I just loved how practical it was. All the Ochis are practical. If it's a full size Ochi, it was somebody like in a practical suit with a puppeteered face, that like full on like looks like an actual primate, but it was somebody in a
Wow.
suit. And then the little Ochi that's with our main character is a full like puppet as well. So there's all these images that, and you can probably find them online now, but it's all these images they sent me with like the little girl walking around, and like there's like several people in blue, like, blue screen suits behind them, like puppeteering the little Ochi on her shoulder and stuff. And I'm just like a sucker for that kind of stuff. So yeah,
Well,
Legend of Ochi.
it's what makes us love filmmaking. I mean, just seeing those behind the
Yeah.
scenes of how they do it, as opposed to just being completely digital on a green screen.
Yeah, I totally agree. Did you want me to keep going, or did you want to
Yeah,
give you
yeah. Go next up.
All
Yeah.
right, cool. I won't take too much. I won't take forever explaining them. So then this one's an easy one. I can't say a lot about it because I'm currently under embargo on this one. It comes
Mm.
out on Hulu on June 6th, this coming Friday. I just uploaded my review for it this morning. It is currently waiting until the embargo lifts, which on the 5th. But that is for the new animated anthology film in the Predator franchise, Predator Killer of Killers.
Oh.
So I got to check that out. It is an hour and a half or so. It's directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who did Prey,
Right.
and it focuses on 3 individual storylines of 3 different warriors that all take on 3 different kinds of predators, and then the 4th story culminates their stories all together. So the first one takes place in the Viking era and follows like a woman who's like on a path for vengeance, but then finds herself toe to toe with like a big brute predator. And then the second one takes place during feudal Japan, and you have 2 brothers that are kind of like in a battle for succession, a ninja and a samurai. And amidst this battle for succession, they end up having a predator show up that joins the fight, and so they end up working together to try to kill this predator.
Yeah, fight him.
And then the third one is during World War II, and it's about a World War II pilot that takes on a predator. And that one was interesting too because the first one was like a brute predator. The second one's like more of like a hand-to-hand, like quicker predator who's fighting this ninja and the samurai. And then the last predator is taking on this World War II pilot, but in a predator ship. So it's just like like an air battle the whole time. And it was just cool. It was different within the Predator franchise. The animation was like almost like, I don't know how to best describe it because it's not exactly like something like Into the Spider-Verse or Puss in Boots, but like that kind of like that style I'm kind of referring to, where it's kind of like the background looks very much like a painting, but
Yes. Yeah.
like in the movements almost have like a frame rate drop that kind of like give them like a little bit of like an interesting look to it. It's very similar to that. I've seen a lot of people compare it to a show on on Netflix called Blue Eye Samurai that I've not seen. But
Heard of that. I haven't seen that one though
but the
either.
animation style based on the imagery looks very similar. And so yeah, I really enjoyed that film. Is it something that emotionally you're gonna walk away from feeling like super in depth with the characters? Not so much because anthology films they only give you so much time with these characters.
Yeah.
But I just think as a Predator fan, it was cool. The action's badass. They don't hold back because it's an animated movie. It is bloody. There's dismemberments. There's beheadings. There's people getting destroyed in this movie, and it was just a good, fun time. So that's my number 9 right now. Number 8 is Bring Her Back. Obviously, we already talked
Oh,
about
Bring Her
that, but
Back's so good.
I have Bring Her Back in number 8. Now, this might a little be controversial to you based on what we already talked about, but at number 7, I have Paddington in Peru.
That's fair. I mean, I enjoyed the movie. I want to make it clear. I did enjoy it, but
right.
I thought it was a step down.
Yeah, it is a step down. I do agree, but I still really enjoyed it. And number 6 is a movie I had higher up, but then I rewatched it and I still really enjoyed it, but I kind of helped me arrange my thoughts a little bit more. And that is Companion, starring Sophie
Oh yeah.
Thatcher. Really enjoyed that film. I think it has some interesting things to say, and I just think it was like a fun idea, to be honest, just like a fun movie to watch. Number 5, I have the new Marvel movie, Thunderbolts. I'm just a sucker for Marvel. I have been my whole life. I think last year was like the first year in a while that like I didn't have like a Marvel movie or
In
like
your top 10.
a comic book movie like in my top 10 or 20. I can't remember. I'd have to look back. But actually I have it right here. Let me see. I can tell you right now if I had one. Oh, Deadpool and Wolverine did make my top 10 last year. But
Right, I forgot that was last year.
otherwise, a lot of the other ones, just the comic book movies, just didn't do it for me last year. And so, it's nice to have Thunderbolts there, though this list is likely to change. Now, number 4 is a movie. Remember, I was saying before, you have movies that like you really enjoy, but like I can't see myself rewatching again anytime soon. But when I look at what the vision was of the film, I don't know if you're like this with me. When I watch a movie, I like to be like, I can see what the vision is, and so it's hard for me to be like, this is like, even if it's not like something I want to watch often, it's hard for me to be like, this isn't good, because the
Yeah.
vision and the execution went hand in hand, and that is the A24 film Warfare. Yep, he nailed it. He nailed it in the comments right there. I saw it pop up right before I said it.
Yeah.
Warfare for me was just like such a solid film because it's, based on everything I've even heard in interviews, like that was the goal. The goal was to make like a movie that you don't have characters really, you just have like faces, and you have like everything that feels like a real time momentary event. And I just think when I look at what the film was going for and how it was executed, and how like the pit of in like the pit in my stomach kind of feeling I had by the time it was over for these people, um and just what the film is also saying about warfare, like saying something about how it affects the soldiers, but also like how it's just absolutely decimates the lives of those around them. And that's
Yeah.
like the way that shot ends as they leave, and it's just like silent, but like just like the warfare still happening in the background, and like everything that they just like left is now like left in shambles. um
And it's unique getting a slice of life war film from
right.
the individual that it actually occurred to, which is
Right. And I
something I
also
appreciate.
commend the fact that director Ray Mendoza didn't make his who he is in the story like the main character. He's just another one in the mix. And I
Yep.
think that was probably the best move for that movie. There's no main character, there's no heroics about it, there's no anything like that, man. The sound design was phenomenal, the costume design, the blood, the just like the camera work. um it's a really interesting film because it's not a movie that's like, again, going for. I've seen so many people complain that it's like not. Oh, I didn't really connect to anybody. It's like I don't think you're supposed to. Like I think
No, you're not.
you're supposed to be like a fly on the wall watching this like madness ensue, and just you feel for these people that are going on, but it's not like, hey, I know who this character's mom is, and like I know that he's fighting to get back to his mom that has cancer or something. Like you didn't need that, and I think that that's where the movie really works. So at number
That's
three, though,
that's and that's why we look at films the way that we do. We take
right,
it for what it is and not what we think it should be. So I agree.
right, totally agree. At number three, I have Friendship,
Yeah.
which like we already mentioned. Now, at number two, this is an interesting one. So I can even roll back and give you my number 11 if we don't want to count this one, but I've counted it only because it came out here in the States in 2025. But it did come out in 2024 overseas and got Oscar love for 2024. So I guess it depends on how you choose to
Man?
look at it. No, not Better Man. I don't count Better Man only because I gave Better Man my number one spot last year in
I was gonna say,
2024.
I was like, are we cheating here, Anthony?
And that did come out in the States last year.
Yeah,
Um,
technically.
so I technically very limited, but it did. So, but this one didn't, and it's I'm Still Here. It's the Brazilian film I'm Still Here, which did end
Oh
up
yeah.
winning. I think it ended up winning Best International Picture. Now, I'm still torn on whether or not I'm going to count this towards my 2025 list, only because it came out. It wasn't available here until 2025. So it's like,
Yeah.
what do you count? What do you not count? Um, so
I
that's what I,
counted it as 2024, but that's only because of the Oscars and everything.
right,
I
right.
had that movie on my radar for a while, and I was going to count it as 2025. But when it started picking up Oscar attention, I was like, okay, I guess 2024 it is.
Right, and that's where I'm still torn on whether or not. And by the end of the year, I'll make that decision. But so here's what I'll say. That's my number two right now. Otherwise, slide
Good movie.
everything forward, and Friendship would be number two, and slide everything up a peg. And currently my number 11, that would be my number 10 if I'm Still Here is not there, is Mickey 17. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
so that's currently my number 11. Um, and then my number one is Sinners.
Oh, that's a good choice.
I think it's the best movie that's come out this year in terms of style, in terms of substance, in terms of just like filmmaking execution, in terms of cool factor, in terms of, not that I really care about this, but in terms of sex appeal. Like the whole movie just felt like, it just felt like so,
Full package.
if the full package of a movie, man. Like it just the music to it, the musical score,
Oh,
the
the music's great.
cinematography, the lighting, the practical effects, the performances, the tactics used to bring the twins to life. And like my biggest gripe with that movie is the marketing. um the marketing, I just gave away way too much. I saw the
Yeah.
trailer a million times, unfortunately, in front of other movies, and showcasing which characters become vampires at the end of the film. um in the last act was the most ridiculous thing they could have done because you were just waiting for it to happen. So I don't feel like I got to watch that movie with a true shock of what was going to happen. But I really love what the film has to say. Because it's interesting because I've actually talked to somebody who really enjoyed it, and for them it was just a vampire film. And they asked me like what I saw in the film, and I was explaining like all the racial elements, the racial
Yeah.
undertones, and they just didn't see any of that. Like to them, it was just a vampire flick. And I guess on one hand, I like that it works like that, right? Like it's a movie that works as a vampire horror film. But if you look into it deeper, there's so much more there for you as a viewer. And I think it just goes to show.
100%.
I think it just depends on obviously how you choose to approach film. And then just because I have it open, my worst film I've seen this year. I know we're talking about best, but I won't list any more. But the worst film I've seen this year is a movie called Rats. Absolutely terrible, dude. It is, and it's interesting because if you go on Letterboxd, the reviews are mostly positive, but not a whole lot of people have seen it. It almost feels like people's friends they just like, hey, go rate this well. But the movie is so like egregiously bad, and it's going for like shock value and just like grotesque like scenes that aren't like grotesque bloody wise. Like the blood is all very over the top and silly, like it's like a cartoon. But like there's literally a scene in the movie where like there's like really obscene police officer character that's like very overacted is taking a shit in a toilet at a bathroom. I'm sorry, by the way, I didn't mean to cuss, but
No,
um,
you're
they're,
good.
they're
I
dropping.
don't think you two at this point. I think it's within the first couple of minutes. That's when they'll
All right,
have
cool,
an
cool.
issue.
Well, they're dropping a deuce, and literally for this scene, they put the camera in the toilet bowl, and it's like a practical, like fake person's butt, and you watch the crap coming out like onto the camera. And that's just one scene in the movie, but the movie was just like so poorly acted, so poorly shot. The dialogue is horrendous. I just remember thinking like it like that for me is like when I hear people say like, "Oh, this movie was terrible," like for instance, and no shade over here to Bootzilla, right? But he said the worst film for me is A Working Man and runner-up Captain America: Brave New World. While I have A Working Man at number 10 on my worst list, so I do agree it's not a great film.
I do plan on watching it, but
But
I haven't seen it.
Rats is just like that's the kind of movie that's like absolutely atrocious. Like I can't even bear to think about that movie ever again in my whole life.
Let me see if
It technically premiered at a film festival in 2024, so that's how it pop up. It has a blue and pink imagery on the poster.
yeah, I see it. So I could rent it, but based on what you're saying, I don't think I should rent it.
It's so bad, dude. Honestly, I would say rent it if you want to for the sake of like watching garbage and almost to just like dog on it at the end of the year. But man, I was blown away at how bad that movie was. Blown away.
See, my problem is I've already seen 6 movies that will probably make my top 10 worst of the year, maybe 7. So I'm like, I think I'm gonna give it some
I
time.
have 16 movies on my worst right now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
See, I'm waiting for the next God's Not Dead. I think that's coming out this year. That will that will make the list 100%. All right, I guess it's my turn. So we have some overlap. My number 10 right now is Warfare. Thought it was rock solid, slice of life war film. Love the sound design. Think the performances were good. For what it was going for, it was good. This is going to be a hot take. My number 9 is Havoc. What can I say? I like Tom Hardy. I like Gareth Evans. Is it a step down from the Raid films? Of course, The Raid 2 is my favorite action film of all time. I went in not expecting it to be the same quality. I was expecting it to be a good action film, good action choreography, good pacing, good score, good performances. I got it. I got a gritty action film for what it is. I liked it.
I still need to watch that one, but I'm now hearing that you have it so high on your list makes me like I suck with streaming movies. I'll say that. I
Me too.
suck with
No, me
keeping up with
too.
streaming, so I got to check that out.
That one I made a point to. Like, most of these movies are not streaming. I mean, actually, I think that's the only one that's streaming, and I'm terrible with it too because it's out of sight, out of mind, unless I actually pull up the app. So with that though, I've been following along. I've been waiting for a couple of years for Havoc to come out, And with each passing year, I became more and more worried because I'm like, there's so many reshoots, there's probably so many issues. And so I think maybe because I had such low expectations, the fact that we got a gritty film where, people are getting killed left and right, and there just doesn't really seem to be a lot of plot armor with the characters. I don't know. I had a good time with it, but will it make my end of the year top 10? No. I would say it might not even make the top 25 by end of the year, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure my top 10 is going to be super different by the end of the year. Like super different. I'm sure Sinners and Friendship and Warfare and it will still be there. I would argue that my top
yeah,
5 will probably still be there. Will they still be in my top 5? I don't know.
it's
That's
yeah. My number 8, this is one that we actually spoke about months ago because I remember asking you about like if it was worth seeing in theaters. I ended up really liking it. My number 8, it's Dog Man. I had a
really
I had a blast watching that movie. Like my rating might not seem to reflect that because I think I gave it like a 3.5 out of 5, but I really enjoyed it. I think that the animation style was very enjoyable. I was surprised by some of the story beats in the second half. Didn't really feel atypical in the third act, specifically with like Pete Davidson's character. Um, I liked that style of animation, and I haven't seen Captain Underpants, the one that came out I think in 2017, but it made me want to check that one out. But we'll see if a second viewing if it brings it down or brings it up. But
Yeah, I saw Captain Underpants, funny enough, last year for the first time on a plane when I was flying back from Amsterdam for my honeymoon. And yeah, there's a main villain in that movie that's called Doctor Poopy Pants or whatever. So I guess just know what you're getting into for that one. It was fine. It was fine.
I'm not expecting it to be the same quality as Dogman, but I don't know. Dogman was just a special surprise. Also, I was method viewing it. I was watching it with my dog, so I think I don't know. It was just watching. I was like,
I think
"Oh."
I felt like I was on crack watching Dogman. Like I just a little bit. Like I don't know what
I'll probably watch it a certain way a second time. No lie.
Yeah, I thought I was like on meth or something. I don't know. It's like I was also saw it. I saw it early and in a theater packed with kids.
Oh
And so
wow.
it was just
Oh
like
no.
these kids were having a ball. But I will say this, as somebody who critiques movies, like I do think that's important, right? Like I was able to in my review for it, while I didn't love the movie because I felt like it wasn't like I didn't think it had enough for me as an adult. The kids were having a freaking blast, dude. So I think for me that's important to see, right? Because you get to, like you should be able to bring that to your review. I feel to like be able to like, hey, listen, here's my take, but the kids were having a ball. So if you're looking to put your kid in front of something that they're probably gonna love, then here's that. But
And
so I
there's
think that's
clearly a lot
important.
of heart. I mean,
There is.
there's one review that said it best. It felt like the Naked Gun, but for kids. Like it's a joke a
Kind of
minute. They just constantly were throwing stuff your way. I'm like, this is a lot. Like I can't imagine watching this as a kid, and it's like this is like overstimulation. Like
right.
it's felt like a comic book
Little
coming to life.
Petey is in my top 10. I'll say that. Little Petey alone, in terms of characters this year, is in my top 10.
He was so good. My next one, um, this one was one I was very much looking forward to, and I quite liked it, and that's Black Bag. It's very refreshing to have an adult film in terms of the spy genre that is just people in rooms in suits talking. It's very moody, very atmospheric. I thought the twists were pretty effective. The performances were good. It was very nice to see a film like that in theaters. And Steven Soderbergh once again proves why he is a very versatile director. I will
Yeah.
definitely be watching this again at some point. Um,
Yeah,
Next up,
I have that at number 12. So yeah,
number 12. Okay,
yeah, it's a good
awesome.
movie. Very good movie.
My number 6. I don't think this is one you saw, Anthony. My number 6. It's Ash.
I didn't. I had tickets to see it, and I think I had seen like the reviews were starting to come out negative, and I chose to see something else that night. I can't remember what I chose to watch instead, but I don't know that it was any better. But I chose to watch something else.
Dude.
That's the Shutter movie, right? With Aaron Paul.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll like it. It reminds me a lot of it reminds me if like Alien and Mandy had a baby together
Interesting.
because it is very very trippy, but the story itself it's you've seen it before. It's Alien, but it's the filmmaking that really elevates it. I mean, you know me, filmmaking, that's the most important thing for me when I'm watching a film, and watching it, just all the effort that was put into it. There's a lot of practical effects. The colors are amazing. I mean, you want to talk about Dogman, make me feel like you're on drugs. Ash definitely did as well. It's. I mean, I'm looking forward to rewatching it again. Like it's quite the experience.
All right.
My number five, it's Bring Her Back. I really liked that movie. I know we spoke about it earlier, but I thought that was really effective. Um, a lot of imagery that stuck with me, and just the overall thematic richness of that film and the performances. Like I don't think we touched on it, but that kid performance, like holy cow, like so good.
Insane. Maybe one of the best kid performances I've seen in years. And honestly, from the whole young cast, the young blind girl in that movie as well.
She
Like
was great too.
she was great to actually cast somebody who was visually impaired.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bold move, like, and I think she did a really good job. But yeah, that little demon possessed kid, whoo, one of the craziest performances of the year.
Sorry, I was just smiling because I saw my number four and I was like, oh yeah, this is one you did not like. This is this year's queer or Amelia Perez for you. So my number four is The Surfer.
Okay, all right. You know what? I didn't
I
hate
loved
that.
it.
I didn't hate the movie, but I didn't like it.
Yeah. Eat the rat. It's so good.
I
That's
have
another one where I
it's
felt
I
like
have it on my worst list. It's currently
I knew it.
it's number 5 on my worst list right now. I don't think it'll stay there, but that's where it's at right now.
I think just with what we were talking about earlier in terms of with what a film's trying to achieve, where it's like you feel as if you're going crazy with the characters, the filmmaking definitely made me feel as if I was going crazy. Like there were even times where I'm like, is that his car now or is it not? I'm like, I'm kind of losing my sanity right now. And just that scene at the end where he, without spoiling anything, where he takes a certain substance and just it goes wild. Like it goes from the film's already playing at a 10, and it somehow goes even further in terms of being unhinged. I'm like, this is insane. Like, holy cow. So just in terms of experiences, and also I just loved the filmmaking. And it wasn't until towards the end where I'm like, this whole film is pretty much one setting. Like it completely lost me in regards to that. I'm like, I didn't once think like, oh my goodness, can't we get a different setting? Like why are we just here the entire time? I was engrossed the whole way through, and I just loved the score. It was very atmospheric, and Nicolas Cage, just what a performance.
He
So
he
I
is
loved
he's
it.
definitely Nicolas Caging it up for sure. Like
Yeah, he is.
he's not the problem. I would even say the cast in general is not the problem for me with that movie. I wasn't crazy about the story. I thought I saw what it was saying, and I do agree that that scene near the end, that trippy scene, like it kind of pulled
Wild.
me back in. I remember like sitting back up, like, all right, I'm in again. But it was just like it felt like it meandered a lot for me, where like once the credits started rolling, I was like, I will
Yeah.
say this. I said it in my review when I filmed for it, but I have those Govee lights that like I have like a camera on top of my TV that scans the colors of the screen, and then I have the lights behind my TV that match the colors on the screen.
Oh wow.
That movie was perfect for it because there's a lot of greens and oranges and reds,
Yeah.
and so watching it with the lights off, like those trippy sequences, the lights behind my TV only amplify those moments. If I always say the people that I know, and like if you don't have the Govee lights for your TV, you're missing out on like another level of immersion that you don't even know that you need. Um, Even think of something like silly, like I don't know, a scene in a show or a movie where like a character somewhere and like an alarm goes off and like the frame turns red from the alarm
Yeah.
turning off and it's like blinking. The lights will like blink behind the TV with the screen, and it just like adds this level of immersion that's like so cool. Or like I don't know, like I loved the first time I watched The Last Jedi with those lights, and you get to Snoke's throne room, and
It's
Kylo
completely
and
red.
Rey are fighting. Yeah, it was completely red. So the lights behind the TV are like this dark red, just kind of giving this ominous look. And then when the lightsabers start going and it's whooshing around, you have like the blue that kind of clashes around the red, and it's just like so cool. So I will say that all that to say, Surfer was a great movie to watch with the lights because it just gave it like this really immersive feel to it.
I'll definitely let you know how I like it in terms of watching it at home because I saw it in a theater, and
Interesting.
dude, you would have thought I saw it with one friend and there were 5 other people in the theater. You would have thought that we were watching Thunderbolts with how much all of us were into it. Like it was just wild. Like we were all laughing at the right moments. We were all like, "What?" Like, oh, like it
I
was
may have
great.
needed that, right? Because I got sent an early screener to watch it, so I watched it at home alone. It was just me. I didn't even have like my wife to play off of, who
Yeah, to
sometimes
like
watches
talk
these
to.
things with me. So maybe it needs a rewatch before the end of the year.
Because dude, I was turning my one friend actually Sergey, who's usually live streaming. We were literally turning to each other, and I'll never forget Eat the Rat scene. I was like, "Eat the rat!" Just like turned to him like after that because I was just like, "Oh my god, this is great." I wasn't sure if he was gonna like it because he usually doesn't like films that are very heavy on visual storytelling and are very like trippy. So I remember afterwards I was like, I wonder if he's gonna like it. And he's like, I loved it. I was like, okay. I was like, awesome. I was like, awesome. Wasn't expecting that, but awesome. Um, so I think that was my number 4. My number 3 is Friendship, which is your number 3 as well.
Nice.
Don't really have too much to add other than I think that we all have that one friend that's like Tim Robinson. Maybe even we've had some elements of Tim Robinson in us. I know I do. But it's very interesting. I think if anybody that's been in that type of situation, of course, this is exaggerated, but I feel like pretty much anyone can relate to this type of thing. I think at least. My number 2 is Sinners. Like you, I loved it. I will also say that of all years to start dabbling and watching trailers more, I do wish that I didn't see the trailer because similar to you, there were a couple characters that got turned into, vampires that would have been a shocking surprise if I hadn't seen the trailer. So, but that's on
Right.
me. But as it stands, I mean, Sinners as a feat of filmmaking, it's really good. The way it's able to balance period piece trappings and horror trappings and just make it feel very original, very fresh. I've heard some people say, "Oh, from dusk till dawn, it's pretty much just that." And I just think it's kind of dismissive because Brian Coogler clearly put a lot of love. Everyone did, I think. Everybody was
Yeah, I
firing
mean,
all cylinders.
listen, you could say it's to dusk till dawn to an extent, like elements, but like to say that it's like that is crazy. Like the two
Yeah.
films are so different, like
Hmm.
so different. I would say it's probably the most original feeling vampire film I've seen in a long time.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And my number 1, this is one that you and I briefly talked about, I think over 2 months ago, because I was like, dude, I'm getting to see this early. My number 1, it's
Right.
One Battle After Another, the new PTA film.
It's so amazing that you got to see that so early. Not
I
only did you see it early, you got to see it so early, and you're under embargo, so you can't say anything about it. But that's a crazy one, dude. Like that, when you hit me up with that, I was like, talk about like
6 months, yeah.
yeah, man, that's big. Like the most I've seen a movie early is like, I think the earliest I've seen a movie still, I got to see Challengers 2 months early, two or
Oh,
3 months
wow,
early.
that's awesome.
Um, but yeah, but 6 months is crazy, dude. I mean,
And dude,
congrats on that.
we couldn't have our phone. Like I had to my Apple Watch and my phone. I had to give it in security. We all did. So before the movie was even starting, like we were in the theater, and it was a very interesting experience because we all didn't have phones, so we all had to interact with each other, and it was
Right.
just I don't know, it was nice. Like you would hear different stories, like oh, I'm coming from New York. Oh, I'm coming from New Jersey. Oh, I drove 4 hours. Oh, I drove 5 hours. It's like oh, wow. And just, hearing different people's interactions like, oh, I don't even know what this movie is. And some people saying, oh, I love PTA. It's like, oh, which ones do you prefer? And I'll say this Inherent Vice was one of those films of PTA's filmography that I had seen a couple times prior, wasn't the biggest fan of, but watching one battle after another, it made me want to rewatch that film. And I ended up rewatching that film twice. There's just a lot of all of PTA's filmography up to this point, there are elements in those films in this one. And I think that it's a very special film. I will say this from what I understand, the version I saw, it was completely finished. Like there wasn't any instances where it's like, oh my goodness, that's green screen or oh wow, like there's still wires. That wasn't the case, but what I heard was that because of the test screening I went in and some of the others, they cut out, I think it was 8 to 10 minutes, which I'm just gonna say this. I don't know how or why, because that film breezes by. I think again, I didn't have my phone, so I couldn't time it. I think it was like 2.5 hours, but it felt like a 2 hour film. It flew by. I was hook, line, sinker right away. I'm like, oh wow, so this is old school PTA. Okay, so I can't wait till September. I've already told my wife and friends, like, listen, we're seeing this as soon as it comes out. Like, you guys are gonna love it. So, and I think you'll like it too, Anthony. It has something for everyone. But going back to what we discussed about Warfare, this is a good example of a film where you're going to have some general audiences say, "Oh, I don't know who to root for," so therefore it's not good. And it's like, well, no, I mean, it's quite apparent who you're supposed to root for, but there's a lot of morally great themes that are going on, and the characters do things that are morally great. So it's like it's not a black and white type film. So I loved it.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
think
wait.
some people struggle sometimes with the notion of like unlikable characters. Which don't get me wrong, if you have characters that are just flat out unlikable, and then the movie's unlikable and the story's unlikable, then yeah, what do you got going for you? But if you have like a movie that's about a certain kind of thing, and within it those characters are unlikable for a certain reason,
Yeah.
maybe if you're like watching like a mafia film or something like that, or like um I don't know. It just depends, right? Or like a movie I really enjoyed from a few years ago called Fair Play with Alden
Oh yeah,
Ehrenreich.
we've talked about that. I love Fair Play.
Yeah, great movie, right? But like both of those characters are unlikable at certain points in the movie. Like they're
Yeah,
neither one of them's really the hero. Neither one of them's really like a good person. Like they're both like toxic
they're
and
human. Yeah, I mean
yeah,
they have positives and negatives, just as we all do.
right.
Um, yeah, I can't wait for you to watch that film.
Yeah, I
I'm
can't wait till
curious
it's
what
out.
the reaction is going to be. Honestly, I mean, I turned to my one friend and I said, I think this is when PTA is going to win Best Director. But if I also said this to him though, and I've told my friend Marv, I've told everyone, I'm pretty much, so I'll say it now. If the film doesn't resonate with audiences, if audiences don't show up to it and it flops, then Warner Brothers is not going to try to market both One Battle After Another and Sinners for Oscar attention. They're going to put it all towards Sinners, and then One Battle After Another will fizzle out, and it won't get any Oscar attention really. So
Right.
you heard it here first. So I'm hoping audiences show up. I'm hoping that people see Leonardo DiCaprio and say, you know what, this guy's a great actor. Let me check out this film. But we'll only know once the reviews come out and once people show up. But I will say this: Warner Brothers, they are kind of insane because I love PTA. I am a huge fan of his work, but this budget that they gave him, it's more than all of his films combined. So it's insane. It really is. But
All
I
right.
admire the ambition.
Yeah. No, I'm excited to check it out when the time comes, man. Congrats on being able to see it that early. And I
Thanks.
will if there's anything I know about having seen something early and having being under embargo is it sucks to not be able to talk about it.
Especially since you want to talk about like certain scenes or
All right.
I mean, it's still fresh in my mind. Like, even though it was over 2 months ago, it's still one of those films that I think about every now and then. And I listen to a lot of film scores, and it's one of those things where I'm like, I really want to listen to Johnny Greenwood's score, and I'm like, I can't because it's not out yet.
Right.
But it's great. You're in for a treat. I'm probably gonna watch it another time or two in theaters. Like, it's definitely one of those films where I'll want to show people it.
Right. That's
By the
awesome.
way, we have a lot of comments.
Yeah, go for it.
Breeze through this. 123 Rock fans. Just hope y'all are doing good. By the way, same to you, man. Hope you're doing well. And he also says, I think this is A24's first Fouling movie.
I think he was talking about
Not
Legend of Ochi.
not not first. So they did The Farewell, which came out in 2019, which was PG. So they've done a couple PG
I
movies.
don't know if I'd call that a family film though. You talking about the one with Aquafina?
Yeah.
Bro, that movie's heart wrenching.
It is, but it's PG.
Yeah, but I think he means like a family movie. Like like Legend of Ochi definitely has like I said, like that ET kind of like
Like a
family
wholesome
film.
charm.
Yeah, there's a wholesome element to it. Whereas I think with Farewell, you should give it a
Farewell's
watch.
so good.
It's so good. It's the movie I point people to when they say that they hate Aquafina. I'm like, I think she just doesn't get the roles that show what she's capable of. And
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people, watch Farewell. Like
It's
that's
a
the
good
movie
movie.
that will blow you away if you don't like Aquafina. Like she gives such a good performance in that movie.
My family movie night's gonna be different in the future. I'll be showing my kids like 7, 8. Hey, family.
You
I'm
out here,
partially kidding about the
you
last
out
one.
here showing Passion of the Christ for a family dinner, like.
Yo, not gonna say which friend. Some people in the group chat will probably know. My one friend said that he put on Passion of Christ for Easter, and I was like, "Why would you do that?" And he was like, "What? It's an Easter movie." I'm like, "Yeah, but like you don't want to show that movie where Jesus is getting whipped for 20 minutes." I'm like, "Ah." I'm
Yeah,
like, he's like,
that's
"Oh,
great.
that's a good point." I'm like, I'll come over for Easter dinner next time.
Kids in the corner painting their eggs, and we're watching fucking Jesus get whipped. Crazy.
Bootzilla top five so far in order: Sinners, Warfare, Freaky Tales, Black Bag, and Thunderbolts. I doubt if more than one stays in there at the end of the year, but we'll see. All
Nice,
good
nice.
choices. I didn't
Yeah.
see Freaky Tales. Anthony, did you see that?
I saw Freaky Tales. I liked Freaky Tales. I thought it was a fun time. I didn't love it. I think that some of the anthology stories in there didn't like. There's elements I just felt like weren't explored enough. Um, there's just some, but there were certain storylines that I thought were really cool. And
That's the Pulp Fiction esque one, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely got a Pulp Fiction esque vibe, and there's like a lot, some surprisingly big names in there, like Pedro Pascal and Ben Mendelsohn. Um,
Oh,
there's even like a bigger name in there that makes like a really brief cameo. I won't spoil it, but like it's like it's a surprise. Like he appears on screen, you're like, what the hell is
is that
this
person
guy
really
doing
there?
in this movie? Like who did he owe a favor to be in this like 30-second scene? It's because it's not just like a popular actor. It's a huge A-lister, like bigger
Oh
than
wow,
anybody else in the movie. Um, and I remember just thinking, like, what the hell is this guy doing here? Um, but it's a fun time. I think it's definitely an enjoyable one.
I'll have to check it out. Also, Joe says, "Oh, Predator, yes, Prey was awesome." Yeah, I enjoyed Prey, but I don't know if I would rewatch it. I am
I
planning to
love Prey.
rewatch.
It was my number 10 in that year that it came out. I think 2022.
Yes, yeah, it came out in 2022. There were some elements I definitely liked, but there were other elements I was like, eh. But to be fair, I'm not the biggest Predator fan to begin with, which is why I'm wanting to rewatch the original because I quote that line, "You're hit," and then he's like, "I ain't got time." No, you're hit. You're bleeding. I ain't got time to bleed. Like I love that line. I think it's so funny. But I haven't seen the movie in like a decade, so I'm like, I'm overdue for a rewatch. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
rewatch it before the
I did a
animated
full
one.
binge last year before Romulus of
Yeah, I remember you saw like the
I did all the
Predator versus
aliens and
ones.
all the predators. Yeah, all of them. With my wife, it was her first time seeing any of them, and it was so much fun to watch all those movies again. There's some really great stuff in the Alien franchise, and some really bad stuff, and then there's some really good stuff in the Predator franchise, and I would say mostly bad stuff, depending. Like I think Predator 2 is okay, but I don't think it's great. I like Predators, but the Predator is terrible. Um, and the Alien versus Predator 2 Requiem has to be one of the worst movies ever made.
I remember you talking about it. That's the one where it's pretty much completely black when they're shooting.
Dude, you
Or not
can't
shooting when
see
they're fighting.
you can't see anything in that movie. It's like they filmed on like a Nokia from 1987. Like I don't know. Like it's just it's got like the worst cinema. Like I would kill because you can watch that and it's not. I guess it's connected to the end of the first one. I would kill to hear your thoughts on the Alien versus Predator movies because the first one's not like incredible either, but like it's
You know how much I'm into cinematography, so to see
I think the
probably
first
some
one
of the
you'd be like,
worst.
this is like a straightforward, like silly, fun action movie. The second one, dude, I would just want to hear your thoughts on the second one. The cinematography is so muddied and so ugly that I would pay money to hear your thoughts on that movie.
I should watch it on April Fools and just give it like a 5 out of 5 and say, "Yo, this is some of the best cinematography I've ever seen." I'll have you
Crazy.
know, by the way, Anthony, I was like this close on April Fools to give Amelia Perez a half a star and say I've changed my mind, but then
Oh my
I was
gosh.
like, it's only for Anthony though, so I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. But I
Hor-
was close. I was like, maybe.
a horrid film. A horrid film.
123 Rock fan says I loved watching Dan Trachtenberg on the Totally Rad show. Awesome how much success he's had. Hey, he's a good guy. 10
Yeah,
Cloverfield Lane, good film.
yeah, good one.
Warfare, yes. Warfare, excellent. The sound design was incredible. Yeah, I agree. I could see it getting an Oscar nomination for sound.
For sure. I'll be shocked if it doesn't because I think Civil War last year was snubbed in the sound department, personally.
It's gonna be, dude. This year's gonna be tough for sound because F1, even though it hasn't even came out, that's probably gonna be like a shoe in for best sound.
Right.
Tron, I'm pretty sure. I know Tron Legacy got nominated for sound mixing, and the new Tron's coming out, so it's gonna be a very tight year in terms of sound. Godzilla says, "Agreed, the sound was incredible." Absolutely. I agree with this. 123 Rock fan says, "I really dislike the criticism. We don't get to know the characters. I think the inherent situation they're in makes me care about the characters." Yeah, something like that. You don't need to have an extra hour of, yeah, I'm coming from a little town and don't
Right,
really
right.
know what else to do, but I got a mom, so therefore you got to care about me. It's like, nah, just throw these
Right. Like
people
we
in and
didn't
we'll
we
care
didn't need
about it.
all that extra characterization.
Yes. Sometimes it's not. It's just like United 93. Fantastic film, but if they had it where every single passenger we got to know, it would have been like, like sometimes you can care just based on human instinct, where it's like these are people in a terrible situation. So I don't know. I feel like empathy is important. 123 Rockman says the ending of I'm Still Here hit me so hard. Yeah, it's a really good ending. 123 Rockfin. I saw Sinners with a friend that didn't know the genre or the reveal, so I experienced the twist viscerally. LOL. You're so lucky. I wish that both of us, I can say, wish that occurred with us because we both had it spoiled because of that
Right.
trailer. The View with Drew is in the chat. He says, "Hey everyone, what's up, Drew? Good to hear from
Got
you,
him.
man. Hope you're doing well." Bootzilla, worst film for me is A Working Man, runner-up Captain America: Brave New World. We spoke about this. I promise I'll be watching A Working Man pretty soon. I think it just came out on Blu-ray, so I'd say probably within the next month.
Yeah, and I didn't dislike Brave New World. I think like a lot of people. It's
No, it's not
currently
bad.
it's currently in my top 20, but it's not gonna be there by the end of the year. By at all. I have it at number 14 right now, but it's not gonna stay there.
It's not a bad movie. Like I was expecting it to be unwatchable, but I was watching. I was like, it's not bad. I mean, you'll see. I'm after the live stream. I'll be writing up my review quickly, but it's not a bad movie. It really isn't.
Right.
Now, am I going to give it a raving review? No, but because I just hear so many negative things about how it's the worst MCU movie, I'm like, okay, sure, no.
Right, right.
123 Rock fan sounds lovely. LOL. Probably hot take, but Black Bag is in my bottom five. Oh wow, yeah, that's a hot
It's
take.
interesting because I've heard that from a few people. Like it's either people like really enjoyed it like us, or like some people just like thought it was like a slog to get through. Um, yeah, I don't agree with that. So for me, it's a hot take, but I
Yeah,
have
me
heard
too.
I've heard the take already.
Yeah, and it's a slow burn film, so it's like it definitely requires patience because I feel like when people hear of spy films, they immediately think, "Oh, it's going to be fast paced. It's going to be high octane," and it's like this is not that at all. It's definitely a film for, I would say, older audiences. This is the type of film that I could see a theater full of like 65 and ups watching and saying, "Oh, I miss when movies like this came out in the 70s," and it's like
Yeah,
but
it reminds me of the when I went to see The Revenant in theater. I remember going to see The
that movie.
Revenant, and the whole theater was packed, and I was the youngest person in the entire audience, dude. At one point, and that's just so crazy because I don't really look at that movie as like one of those kind of movies, but uh, at one point, I remember an older gentleman got up to go to the restroom, and on his way back up the stairs, when he came back, like he almost fell down the stairs. It was like it was a moment, yeah. And then like all the other old people around him were like trying to like come help
Always
him.
trying to come over.
It was a moment. I was at the very top, just like watching it happen. I was like, Lord have mercy. But
See,
he caught his foot though.
it's funny, not that, but The Revenant, your situation of being the youngest audience member, that happened to me, but it's a film that's more understandable. It was Lincoln.
Right. Okay.
Most 16-year-olds would not have interest in Lincoln, but I did, and I was like looking around. I'm like, I am literally the only person under 60 here. Like this is wild.
Yeah.
Dude, I kid you not. I don't know. what the awards were or anything, but I had someone sitting to the left of me that had on their uniform, and all these like badges and everything, watching this movie, and I'm like, I guess this is method viewing. It's pretty cool, but I mean, it was a great experience. So I was like, wow, like I'm an adult. I was only 16, but I don't know, just seeing that film in theaters was just a great experience.
Yeah, I can only imagine, honestly.
Joe says 28 years later, coming summer chat. Dude, yeah, I'm excited. And also just the fact that they shot it on an iPhone. Of course, they have a lot of different lenses that they added onto it, but just the fact that a big budget studio film used an iPhone makes me happy. Bootzilla definitely watched Black Bag again because it got a little better for me the second time. That's what I was thinking too. 123 Rock Band. Speaking of Nick Cage, did you guys see the pictures of him and Sean Madden?
I
Yes.
did, yeah.
What are your thoughts, Anthony?
I mean, it's weird because like in those pictures, it both looks goofy, but it also looks like kind of cool. Like I'm kind of excited to see how it turns out. Um, so I don't know. I'm curious. I think if there's anything I really appreciate about Nicolas Cage in recent years, is like he's willing to go for it. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's not like afraid to like just take a stab in the dark and put a hair and wig and makeup on and all that whole shaboodle to like. So I'm pretty excited to see how it turns out for sure. I'm honestly more excited though for Spider-Man Noir. I won't lie.
I am excited for that too. To be honest, I love noirs, neo noirs as well, and I think that the Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, noir character, I thought he was fascinating. He was only on screen for a little bit, but I mean, I'll probably watch it.
Yeah, I mean, there's the fact that it's gonna be live action and it's Nicolas Cage in the role. Like that's pretty exciting.
Speaking of which, dude,
Friendship. Yeah,
I love that.
that was a great scene. I mean, that whole movie was just had me freaking dying of laughter. I love the scene behind the drum set where the guy's like, "You should be dead. Get out of here. Who are you?" Like just like the way he
Uh,
crashes out is just so funny, dude.
one of my favorite scenes as a dog owner, I was literally like this because the one scene where the person like picked up the poop and she's like holding it to her face. I'm like, no, why are you doing that? I was like, that smells terrible. Like even if the bag's scented, like you can smell that. And I was like, that's way too close to your face. Like I was just like, don't. Oh,
I also love when he is helping his wife with the with like the flowers, getting them out of the trunk, and he goes, "Ow!" He goes, "Ow! I got wet." Like the fact that he said "ow" and then like I love that. That was great.
oh, film kid. I just finished Old Boy, and I have no clue what I just watched. You watched a masterpiece, my friend. I'm definitely going to try to show it to my best friend this summer because I think he would really like it. Honestly, show it to your parents too. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that. The budget for Battle was crazy. Yep, agreed. Film kit. I got to see the Phoenician scheme yesterday with the live stream Q&A from Wes Anderson, Benicio del Toro, Michael Cera, and the main female. Oh, dude, you're so lucky. I am beyond pumped for that film. I'm seeing it on the 5th. So my birthday's on the 9th. So I look at seeing a Wes Anderson film on the 5th as a early birthday present. So I'm hoping it's good. Are you gonna be seeing that, Anthony?
Yeah. So I have tickets to see it on the 5th. I was so sad to have missed it. I actually had an early screening for it 2 Thursdays ago, but
Oh
I
wow.
I could not go because I was going to that rock festival I was telling you about. So when
Oh
they usually don't do the screenings on Thursdays. So when I got the email for it just a few days before the festival, I was so upset, dude. I was so upset. I was like, not only am I missing Final Destination Bloodline on the weekend that it comes out, but I'm also missing the chance to see Phoenician Scheme like 4 weeks early, like 3 or 4 weeks
yeah.
early. So that was a big. I thought about you. Funny enough, I thought about you, and I was like, I was like, I feel like if Chad knew I was skipping Phoenician Scheme to go to a metal festival, he'd be like, "You're crazy, son of a bitch."
No, I mean I understand it because you love metal, so it's like I get it. It's like you gotta have balance.
Yeah, I
We both
mean the
love
tickets
movies,
were
but
already paid for, right? And like I got to see some sweet bands that day too, so it is what it is. But it's
you
like,
made memories, and at the end of the day,
right,
you'll get to see Phoenician Scheme versus this festival. You probably it's not something that comes along like once every week.
right. And I saw 30 bands, and a lot
Holy
of them
cow.
were a lot of them were pretty big, like pretty big bands. So I'm pretty. It turned out to be a pretty good time.
Film Kid says I might also try to watch Mulholland Drive for my first time this weekend. It's my number 2 favorite film of all time. So I hope you like it. Just know that if you don't understand it, that's exactly what you're supposed to feel the first time you watch it. I would recommend method watching it. I would recommend watching it at midnight, 1 o'clock, so that way you can really take in that like dream-esque feeling that the setting, the atmosphere are really going for. Anthony, have you seen Mulholland Drive?
Yeah, and I was gonna say similar to you, like the first time you watch it, there's a little bit of like, huh? Especially since it's
Yeah.
such like a beloved film in the like in the cinephile world, and
Hmm.
it's a film that's studied in like almost every film class. So it's one of those things where like you almost have this thing of like, what's the big deal with this movie? And it's one of those movies that almost like, yeah, it's not gonna click with everybody immediately for sure.
No, it's not. I mean, don't get me wrong. I loved it the first time, but it wasn't an immediate like 5 out of 5. I think I gave it a 4.5 out of 5, but it definitely opened up my mind to what film could be as an art form. Like I remember
Right,
there's before Mulholland Drive, and then there's after Mulholland Drive for me. Before
right,
Mulholland Drive, I looked at films as everything has to make sense. After Mulholland Drive, I'm like, life doesn't make sense. People make decisions that don't always make sense. Things happen that don't always add up. And at the same time, there's a lot of things in life that feel like they're from a dream. So it definitely made me appreciate art house filmmaking even more as well. So I see why it's studied. I mean, rightfully so, but it's a film that gets better and better. I'm looking forward to rewatching it in June for Pride Month because it's such a great film.
right. Yeah, for sure.
Film Kid, this last week I read through the comment section on your feature film and the argument you had between those three teenagers. I feel really bad, but I gotta say it was really entertaining to read. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it's because this. Yeah, there were a bunch of teenagers that were trolling me. I was just like, I was trying to have an actual discussion, and they were not having. I was just like, okay.
Yeah, that tends to be the case. I work with some people that are like 18, 19, and yeah.
They're not the same. I don't want to say level, but they're more interested in trolling than actually trying to like find common ground or understand each other's
Agreed.
viewpoints. And then it's like as
100%.
you get older, it's like life's too short. It's like let's just try to get along.
Right, right.
Because I think one of the reasons why that big name actor is in Freaky Tale is because he was born in the Bay Area, which is the setting for that movie. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, possibly. I was really surprised to see them.
Yeah, I feel like I will be when I see it. Let's see. A Film Kid Warfare is my second favorite movie this year. Dude, that's awesome. Chad, if you're saying please don't watch A Working Man, I don't hate Jason Statham action movies. I actually like The Beekeeper, but that was just terrible. It's 2 hours of boring action sequences. I'll let you know. I'll definitely be watching it.
Yeah, that movie sucks.
Sounds lovely was referring to rats. LOL.
Yeah,
It's
terrible.
probably the youngest person or a complete unknown. Yeah, I saw an early screening for that, and it was a lot of older people. Actually, the second time I saw it with my wife, it was also a lot of older people. 123 Rock fan. I just finished 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later today. Man, those films were more intense than I expected. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
great
love.
movies.
They're really good, especially the first one. I love how it's shot on like a razor phone, and then the third act they're like shoot on film, and it's like it's so good. Boodzilla, I've only seen 14 movies released this year, so Brave New World has a chance to move up slightly. A Working Man, no chance.
How many
Uh,
movies of this year have you seen of not the whole year, but like 2025 releases? I'm at 51.
oh, so you're ahead of me. I've seen 42.
Okay. No, I mean, I'm ahead of you with that, but overall, what you've seen 700 movies this year?
You might be right. But that's not even close to my one friend has seen. Actually 268. But
That's
I guarantee you, my one friend, he's probably seen that amount that you mentioned. Because
that's crazy, dude.
dude, he's wild. Yeah, he's seen 752. So he's the one you got to be on the lookout for.
I've seen 89 this year so far.
That's still a decent amount,
I,
especially
I
since
I would say mine is like a normal number,
yes,
but who knows? I
mine is
would
like slightly
honestly,
above.
I would have watched substantially more if I wasn't such a big gamer. Like that's just my big thing. Like lately, especially like I've just been like playing a lot of games. So a lot of my free time, especially when I'm editing a video, as soon as I'm done editing and it's exporting, I'm always playing video games. And then when it's done exporting and it's uploading, I'll take a break. I'll open my laptop. I'll start typing up the description box, the tags, all that stuff, and then I'll set the video live. And the second that that's done, I get right back to playing. So I'm usually playing games. Sometimes I play games more than I watch movies. Um, so it depends on the week and what's going on. But yeah.
That makes
So
sense.
if
And I
I didn't
mean,
play video games as much as I did, I'd probably be at least well over 100 movies.
oh, 100%. I mean, for me, I will say this: I balance like TV shows and movies, and then there's other stuff too, like other activities. Like I sometimes try to blend the two. Like I do try to exercise and whatnot, and I usually do. Trying to think on the treadmill, I do like 3 miles. I know, but usually at work and everything, I do like 4 miles. I would say, but
I
usually
commend you for that. I need to start doing that because I'm putting on weight. I feel like a chunky monkey right now.
oh, stop. But it's one of those things where because I do a desk job, I know I'm like, heart attacks run in my family in the early 40s. So I'm like, I gotta, maintain that. But at the same time, I'm like, well, I love movies. So that's why I'll be on the treadmill while watching certain movies.
I mean, hey, dude, I honestly really commend that. I got to get on that too because I have been putting on weight, so I definitely want to shred it, But all on top of that too, while I am on my feet a lot of times, for my job in particular, like I'm always on my feet. I feel like I could be definitely doing more, especially in terms of getting steps.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at let's see, I'm at 1,400 calories burned, 102 minutes of exercise, 16 hours of being on my feet. I'm at 18,610 steps.
Today,
Yeah.
I'm curious to see where I'm at. I'll tell
And
you,
there's I think there's
it's
like
gonna be
eight.
embarrassingly low.
Oh, do you have an Apple Watch too?
No, but I mean, I just go based on like I always have my phone on me, like always.
Oh,
So I
gotcha.
just go based on that. Obviously, it's the accuracy is usually not great, but um, today I have walked 3,000 steps.
Oh, wow.
But mind you, today I've been off today. I woke up, I edited a review, and then I played Xbox for like a few hours, and then I made like some lunch or something. I think I stepped out to get some coffee at a certain point. I came back. Yeah, I just played Xbox until I went to the movies. And so really all the steps I've had are like walking into the coffee shop, walking out of the coffee shop,
Going
walking
to the
into the
movies.
theater, walking out of the theater, and that's it. Yeah. I've had a pretty sedentary day, to be honest.
No, dude, I mean, it's fine. I mean, for me, I mean, we both discussed this. Like, I have like anxiety. So, like, one of the anxious things that I have a lot of is like having that where I have a heart attack, like in my 40s. I'm like, well, if I can do the things to prevent that, then at least I know if it happens, then I can say I
I
did
mean,
everything I
it
needed
sounds
to.
like you're in the right path, right? Like even the fact that you don't like eat certain kinds of foods and stuff like that. Like that's where I get myself into trouble is I eat a lot of nonsense and garbage, but I'm also like I also have health anxiety like yourself. So
Me too.
um you get like you get a quick like gas pain or something in your chest and you think this is it, but it's really just like then you
It's
let out
really anxiety. Yeah.
yeah, let out a gnarly fart, you're totally okay after, and it's like, okay. It happens all the time because I actually recently talked to my doctor about it. Like I've started building up like a little bit more like acid in my stomach than I used to when I was younger. And part of it is because I put on weight, but it makes me get gassier more often. And so I can usually like pass it with a burp or something pretty quickly, but it'll leave me with a moment where I feel something in my chest and I'm like, this is the end. But then I know that's not the case. I've had EKGs done, my blood work is fine, maybe my cholesterol's a little high or whatever. But like, um, it's not, my doctor's like, there's literally nothing that's like,
Nothing wrong.
you know, nothing wrong. But yeah,
And that and
I
that's just
noticed.
it. That's just it, dude. Like I have I've talked I think before in live stream about it, but I have like psoriatic arthritis. I mean not psoriatic arthritis. I have psoriasis, but the next step is psoriatic arthritis as you get
Mm,
older. So it can go dormant sometimes, but I feel like when COVID hit, that's when it flared back up. Like I hadn't had it in years, and then it flared up, and I've had it ever since, so 5 years. But it's gotten more manageable. Like there's videos you can watch where I have like red patches, and it's because my skin it overgrows. Like my body is like pretty much attacking myself. So one of the things that they say helps is like exercise, which is also why I try to be a health nut, so to speak. And then also certain foods can trigger it. So
it
yeah,
sucks
it's all
getting
fun.
old, huh? Like it's like it makes you wish I miss being 16 and being able to like eat whatever I want and like and just being all right, like
Yeah,
it,
dude. I ate
now,
terribly as a teenager, and I was like super, super skinny. And it's like
yeah.
now the last several years that I've been caring a lot about my health, it's like, it's a lot harder to lose weight, than growing up when it's like, oh, you can eat terribly and still lose weight.
Yeah, dude, I look at a cheeseburger now and I gain the weight, let alone when I eat it. Like, because you eat something now, dude, and you feel bloated for like at least a day and a half. But back in the day, it was like, oh yeah, I could have like pizza, a cheeseburger, a burrito, and another pizza. Like what's that thing from SpongeBob that Patrick says? A roast beef, a chicken, a pizza. Um, yeah,
That's pretty good.
I could eat like that all day, every day, and I'd be totally fine. But now it's like if I eat hefty, dude, like you just feel like a big like pimple walking around. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good example, but I love really quickly, by the way, that 123 Rock fan commented saying this convo took a turn.
Yes.
It did take a turn. You're right.
I actually one of my Patreons, I gotta because he has top comments. He has a picture of GD, says I've seen 11 so far, and 2 of them were documentaries for college.
Nice.
That's awesome. I'm curious which documentaries they were. Also, he says regarding our conversation, Apple Watch is generally better for that sort of tracking thing for sure. I walked 11,376 steps today myself. Yeah,
Nice.
honestly, what I also love about Apple Watch is you can compete with people. So I have a bunch of like friends and like family that I'm like competing against. So it's fun. I feel like competition with that adds to it. I mean, I remember my goal this year was do 15,000 steps, and I feel like already my average is like 16,000. So,
Nice.
but yeah, each year I'm like, all right, add 1,000 steps. So I was averaging like 7,800 steps in 2018 because that's what you're supposed to reach. But each year I went up and up, and yeah, it's great, man. I mean, that's another passion of mine. Like I'm really interested in like nutrition, just like health in general. So I try not
Yeah,
to let it get to me too much because again, anxiety
because
flares up.
there's nothing you can do about it, right? Like sometimes you just it gets too much in your mind. That's how I
Yeah.
am, at least. Like I had like I've shared with you a little bit about like that whole anxiety thing I went through last year, but like that was like a real big game changer for me because I thought I was dying, dude. I thought I was gonna like you guys were gonna see on social media like Anthony Perez is dead.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but it turned out like my body was fine. It was just anxiety. Like my anxiety put me in a state of like I'm thinking I'm dying. And I don't know if you ever have those moments where you think something's like wrong or you're like unwell or whatever, and then you're like you get through that day and you're fine, and then another day happens and you might feel that too, and then you're like you start worrying, but then you're like, and then another day passes and you're fine, but then another day passes and then you're fine, and then you feel it again, and then you look back like 6 months later and you're like, how many days am I gonna worry about the same issue? And I've been
Yeah.
alive another 7 months since the last time I thought that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's such a silly thing because it's like there's really nothing as long as you stay on top of it, you go to the doctor and like, not to say that things randomly can't happen, but it's just the likelihood is a lot lower.
Well, and I'll also be honest. I think we've discussed briefly off to the side about it, but like taking those special, gummies, they have also helped me not only compartmentalizing my anxiety, but like psoriasis, like flare ups, which is honestly one of the reasons why I started. And it's just really helped me with things because I feel like I don't get as much anxiety flare ups, or if I do, I feel like I'm able to handle it better because I'm like, no, 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 you're overthinking this. This isn't how it is. It's really helped me with that. So,
All right.
I'm glad I was open to that. Sorry, because while I was in the Patreon comments, let me go back to where we were. 123 Rock fan. I think the Phoenician scheme looks pretty hilarious. I agree. I'm just gonna say this. I'm probably gonna like the movie. I have yet to see a Wes Anderson film that I didn't like. The
All right.
closest was The French Dispatch. I thought it was solid. So I mean, I think at the very least this will get a 3.5 out of 5. Film kid, my dad does not like Wes Anderson, and he likes. Oh, see, that's big because I'm seeing it with my wife, and Wes Anderson's kind of hit or miss for her, and I'm seeing it with Sergey. And Sergey really doesn't like Wes Anderson, but he likes the claymation films of his. So hearing your dad say that and him end up liking it, maybe Sergey will like it. 123 Rock fan. I like how David Lynch blurs the line between camp and seriousness. Me too, especially with like Twin Peaks. That especially, I think he does a good job. I've only seen 15 this year. I usually binge watch a lot of movies during Oscar season. Me too. Actually, Anthony as well. I feel like that's pretty much the catch up time for for
Yeah.
us.
November to December is usually like my time
Insane.
that like I just go ham. I go like balls to the wall because I want to try to get as many movies under my belt before I do my top 10 best and worst. And
Yep.
that's usually when I like, yeah, that's usually when I go crazy.
That's when it's
Crazy, crazy.
overwhelming to a
It
crazy
is.
degree.
It is. That's when like, video games take a break. I always notice every year, like that's when doing singular reviews for movies goes out the window. It's not that it doesn't happen, depending on the movie, but a lot of times it's like uh, I have to do like big review roundups, as I call them, where I just cover multiple things in one video because I'm like I won't be able to do a video for each thing. It's just not possible.
It's too much, and sometimes you only have brief thoughts on something. Like sometimes it's hard to come up with 6 to 7 minutes worth of thoughts on something because it's like I'm binge watching all of this, so it's like maybe it didn't really resonate. So it's like I thought it was all right. I liked this and this. All right, next one. I'm with you.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I remember last year I had to, and mind you, I could have made videos on all these movies, but like one little run I did of binge watching to do a video was Conclave, Honora, Hundreds of Beavers, and Cuckoo. I like watched those like in a row, and then I like
Wow.
did a video on the four of those. Very different movies, all
I,
four of
I'm
them.
still so glad that you recommended Hundreds of Beavers because I kept seeing that crop up on my letterbox, but I thought it was a film from the 70s, so I had it on my watch list, but it wasn't until you told me, like, oh, dude, this film came out this year. I'm like, oh, all right, let me check it out.
Dude, such a good
It's
movie.
so
I've been
good.
wanting to rewatch it. I want to show it to my wife. Those are like the best moments for me to rewatch something a lot of times. Not that I wouldn't want to rewatch on my own, but because I'm always watching something new, rewatching stuff that she didn't see is usually like my favorite thing to do. Because then
Especially,
she gets
especially since seeing her reactions, I'm sure to like a lot of the stuff, especially like the
right.
last 20 minutes of that movie.
Yeah,
So
dude.
good.
So good, so good.
Film Kid, I've seen 160 this year. That's a lot.
Nice.
That's a good amount. I watched Watchmen theatrical cut and it was good, but there were some interesting choices made that I wasn't as fond of. Watch the director's cut. I don't think I've ever seen the theatrical cut. The director's cut
The director's cut is
is the way to
definitely
go.
the best cut for sure. I've seen the theatrical cut, and I remember I wasn't a huge fan of it the first time, but the director's cut definitely helped.
Watchmen, that's one of my favorite superhero films. I love that one. And the TV show is great too. I love that as well. I think that it's a good companion piece.
Yeah, agreed.
123 Rock fan. This conversation took a turn. LLJK. It did. I have a rare genetic disease, and whenever let me go back. I have a rare genetic disease, and whenever I get a new doctor, they get excited because they never seen something with it. LOL. Ugh. Oh, I'm sorry that you. I'm sorry that
Interesting.
you have that, man. Non-life threatening. Oh, that's good. I mean, at
At
least
least,
it's not life
yeah.
threatening. I was about to say, is this expected to not end well? Godzilla, wait until you get in your 50s like me. Oh gosh.
Yeah. I'm not excited for it, man. I'm not gonna lie. At this point, I'm like, it's funny. One of my friends used to always make the joke that like once things start to hurt too much, like in his 50s or 60s, he's just gonna like off himself. And I'm just like, that's. I used to think that's so dramatic. No, don't do that. But now I'm at a point where I'm just like, dude, if my anxiety gets worse and like a pain gets worse just because I'm old, I feel like I'm gonna be like losing it. I'm gonna be 60 years old, like no, at every little thing.
That's what I'm worried about. So I'm just like, let me try to be
Tame
chill.
it.
Let
Yeah,
me let
no.
me try to get this under control. Oh, sorry, David Picture. I didn't mean to miss this. Seven Wonders of the World and Navigator of the Pacific for the documentaries. I haven't
Nice.
seen either of them, but I've heard of them. Also, last two comments, and then we'll wrap things up. Godzilla, I think I've said on here that the only Wes Anderson I like is The Grand Budapest. Fantastic film. I've seen all of his movies, and they don't resonate with me except for that one. I mean, at least that one resonates with you. I do think that that's his magnus opus. I think it's great. Godzilla, I love rewatching movies with my wife just to see her reactions. Yeah, me too. Honestly, I saw The Substance like twice in theaters and then once on Mubi at my one friend's house. And seeing my wife's reaction when I bought the 4K, just like turning to her and seeing her reaction during the last 15 minutes was great. I'm planning to show her Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas next week. And that's another film where I'm like, I can't wait to see her reactions because it's a wild film. So I'm with you. All right, guys. Anthony, I wanted to say thanks again for coming on to the live stream. Be sure, guys, to follow him on Letterboxd as well as YouTube. Also, I forgot to add it, but I will add onto his Instagram as well and other things to plug in. Anthony, do you have anything else to add before we go?
Well, firstly, thanks, man. I really appreciate you having me on. This was a great time to
Anytime, man.
chat. Definitely got to do it again soon enough. Not a year later like last time, but
Yes.
it was good to talk about like the stuff, like here, like in the halfway point of like stuff we really enjoy. Please watch Rats just so I can hear your review for it.
I
Um,
will.
everybody go. Actually, no, fuck Rats. Don't watch Rats. Um, that movie is so bad. Don't do that. But genuinely, man, thank you so much for having me on. For anybody who's interested, my YouTube channel is literally just Anthony A. Perez. Um, if you type in Anthony Perez reviews or whatever, I should pop up. I think I have this linked here. I'll literally just comment in the chat. Let me see if it comes through. Yeah, you can just follow
Hello.
me through there.
Yeah.
Hello. Um, if you're interested, I have movie reviews every week for up-to-date reviews as well as early reviews. I do retrospective reviews as well. I do mostly weekly live streams, though I've been off for the last 2 weeks on live streams, and I do an occasion of vlogs from time to time. Things you can look forward to on my channel right now. I just got a review up a few days ago for the Karate Kid Legends. I got to see that a little bit early. Um, I have a review coming for a little bit late for Final Destination Bloodlines because I didn't get to see that on the opening weekend. But on Monday, I'll be seeing Ballerina. So I will have an
Oh,
early
nice.
review for that up. And then on Thursday, I will have an early review up for Predator Killer of Killers. So yeah, if you like early reviews and you like to have a channel that has consistent early movie content, I'm your guy. Otherwise, if you just like Star Wars and geeky stuff, I'm your guy as well. So again, Chad, I really appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
Anytime, man. Everyone, I hope you guys have a good night. Anthony, thanks again for joining, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Peace.
Later, everybody.